Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tori if you're new here, and today we are doing a Q&A, a little bit about me. There are a lot of new faces, and I put on my community tab if you wanted to ask me a question, now is the time to do it. And I did some on Instagram as well as the Facebook group. So if you asked a question on one of those forums, I wrote it down and I'm going to answer them. Quick disclosure, I have not looked at any of these questions. So if I have an answer that may seem unprepared, that is why. To be honest, there's a lot of things going on in the world right now, a lot of things that I want to talk about, especially that relates to this channel and preparedness channels, news channels, things of that nature, but I need a break from it all. It's a lot of information. I feel like a lot of people out there, mothers especially, just can't have that much information in their brain at the same time and be a present mother. I don't know if that's just me, but yeah, that's how I'm feeling about that. I'm going to start with a YouTube question since this is YouTube, but if you are new here, hi, hello, my name is Tori. I make videos 3 to 4 times a week all about life here in Northern Colorado. I try to teach you to be prepared on a budget. I've been on YouTube for about 5 years, so my content has evolved, it's changed. I don't really think it's been in a niche at any point. It just kind of goes with where my life goes. But if you want more of a motherhood homesteading channel, I will link it down below. That is my second channel. It is Tori Patton if you want to look for it, and that's just more, you know, chatty vlogging day to day of a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids. Of course, I have a beverage. I'm drinking the grapefruit Spindrift spiked. It's like 4% alcohol. I don't know. I just got it, thought it would be good. Doesn't have any added sugar. Typically, I'm an IPA girl, but I've just been trying to take a break and I am sipping on the Spindrift. So cheers to you. Let me know what you're drinking in the comments down below. If you do have any burning questions, leave them down in the comments and I can answer them down there as well. All right, I haven't done a Q&A in a while, so I am a little nervous, I will say that. We will start with an easy one. How many tattoos do you have? Where are they and what do they mean? I've been getting tattoos since the day I turned 18, so I don't know. Let me count. I have 1, 2, 3, because one's a cover-up, 4, 5, 6. I have 7, 8. I think that's it. Oh, 9. I got another one. Okay, I have 9, but one of them is a UV tattoo, and it's just a skeleton. If any youngsters are in the crowd, I apologize, but yeah, I got it at the bar that I worked at. The tattoo artist came to the bar, and it was a huge event, and it was super fun, but it was a UV tattoo, so it's like invisible, and it's only visible with black light, so yeah, I don't know if I haven't even tried to see it, so yeah. I could go through what they mean, but it would be a long video. This one, the one that you see the most, means to breathe or to meditate. I had a professor in an art history class always start our art history classes with a little meditation session, and I noticed it did wonders for my learning and just wonders for grounding me, which was really important. I have this one. It's just a snake. I'm a firm believer that tattoos don't have to mean anything, and my husband and I were really into like flash black and gray tattoos for a while there. He actually went to some pretty fancy tattoo artists whenever we would go to New York and Philadelphia. If you don't know, we're from Pennsylvania and we moved out to Colorado, so it was easy for us to get to those cities in college, and he has a bunch too. If you're on the lifestyle channel, I kind of show more of him, but yeah, some of them don't mean anything. I just really like snakes, so that one is here. And then this one I got, that's my most recent one, and that was just more of a gardening, homemaking, homesteading kind of tattoo. It's just a flower, the first one that I grew, and I did it in a flash style, and this is the one I like the most. I definitely want more. I think I'll do, you know, just a half sleeve or something like that. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I really enjoy tattoos. Also, I know I talk about ingredients a lot and tattoos aren't the best, but it hurts so good. I just enjoy them and I love seeing other artists at work. The first tattoo I got is on my foot. It's a lizard. I don't know if I want to show all my feet on the internet, but it's a lizard. My middle name is Elizabeth. My aunt calls me Lizard, and yeah, it's in the shape of a C for my younger sister whose name starts with a C. So yeah, I got that. And then I have another snake. I have a cobra all on my stomach here, so from here to here. I have a dragonfly on my hip, and I have a bow on the back of my neck, and that was just something I got in college to keep my head on. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, some of them weren't really thought through, and some of them do have meaning to me. Oh, and I forgot, I do have a 10th one. I have a peace sign that is right here. Not going to show that. It would be a lot of sweaters and stuff to take off, but a peace sign, and it has vines and flowers and herbs and things like that. Next question, what do you love most about being a YouTuber? That's a tricky one. It definitely changes, but I really do genuinely like connecting with all of you and chatting with you. I will say, being where we are in life, it has been very isolating over the last couple of years, so having someone to talk to is just such a wonderful thing. I love sharing information with all of you, and I love making videos. I do love editing, so I get to be creative and I get to share it with people. So yeah, I enjoy that. What advice have others gave you about being a YouTuber? A lot of advice. I don't really ask anybody anymore because it's not really helpful. I will say the YouTube community are kind of like gatekeepers. I mean, content creation in general, I don't know what it is, but I'm not saying I'm the only one that will do this, but I'm an open book. If you want to start a YouTube channel, if you want to learn what not to do, I can tell you all that. But as you can see with my numbers, I'm not really the best person to ask. And I found that whenever I would ask or reach out to a creator, they just would never, get back to me, or they just simply, I don't know if they don't have the time or what it is. But yeah, I would not say it's a very inclusive circle, if that makes sense. But I do have a new YouTube friend. He's pretty cool, and he's just laying it out like it is. And he's been very helpful about consistency and getting your message across, which has been very tricky for me. And we'll kind of get into that. I did see a question on here just now that kind of explains why I am the way that I am. So I've been really getting a lot of advice from him, but that is in the last couple of months or so. And then, what advice have you wanted to share with others about being a YouTuber? And I could probably take my own advice, but don't get down on yourself. If a video fails, it fails. Post what you want to post. Don't worry about the algorithm. Oftentimes, I don't think the algorithm is really in your favor because sometimes I put so much effort into a video and it flops, and then other times it's just a video that seeks attention for the algorithm, and oftentimes YouTube will favor that, and that's kind of a bummer. I notice on Instagram they will too. They really harp on posts and videos about conflict, and that kind of bothers me because it does create a divide within some people. Of course, that's not every channel, but I'd love to get to a steady point where it doesn't have to be like that. I can post whatever I want and then go from there. But right now I'm posting what I can and what will be successful in order to make an income. This job allows me to stay home with my kids. It is very hard. It does not happen overnight. Like I said, it will be 6 years going on now that I've been on this platform. And, I will say up front, there's not a lot of return, but now making these, I feel like lifelong connections with some of you and some positive connections with brands has really helped. And, I'm starting to get my groove into things, but oftentimes I take things pretty to heart. I take things personally, so I get defensive. So if you are, I don't know, if you are like me, if you take things personally, if you're an empath, don't get discouraged and don't sit there and take it either. Oftentimes it's hard to ignore the hate, and you have every right to defend yourself, even if that means just deleting, blocking, censoring the comments. That's okay to do. So that's my number one tip. Don't get down on yourself. Just keep powering through and find a rhythm that works for you. Find a balance that works for you. Don't just post because the algorithm says you have to. This is a cute question. Can you clone yourself? There's a shortage of logical women in the Western world. I'm flattered. That's very kind to say, but the social sites are a highlight reel. You might think that I am a logical woman, but I am just a person. So I encourage you to just get out there. My interests are hiking. I like to go to breweries. I really love going to antique shops, thrift shops, things like that. So if you want to get out there and meet somebody, that's the way to do it. You can totally do the online thing, but I encourage you to just try and get out there and find someone logical, although I don't know if I'm that logical. Ooh, I did see this one scrolling, and I I debated on whether I was going to dive into this or answer this, but it says, what does your everyday carry for personal protection looks like? And it changes, it varies. I will say we homeschool most of the time. We still live in like a rural area, but it's a neighborhood. So a lot of people say you're not a homesteader, which it's fine. I don't have to be considered a homesteader, but we stay at home a lot. We love being home. So if I'm at home, I am definitely making sure that I have my senses alive. I'm making sure that I'm aware of my surroundings. But when I'm at home, I have access to whatever I need to. But if I go out in my day, if I go hiking, that's going to look different. And I always have a Kershaw or Benchmade knife with me. I usually have 2 of those on me. I have my Foxy alarm, which is always linked in the description box. And I have some sort of OC spray. You could do pepper spray, but OC spray really made an impression. When my husband was in the academy, he's always had like a tough exterior. It's really hard to get him emotionally, but he called during the academy during the OC spray. If you didn't know, police get tased and they get OC sprayed just so they know how it feels. Most academies do. I think all of them do, but it was scary. He called me and I thought something terrible was going to happen. I was about to call the sergeant and make just a big embarrassment, but OC spray made an impact because I saw what it did to him. It took him down. So yes, I carry that on me, but I was gonna do this in an upcoming video. A lot of people are uncomfortable carrying that, or sometimes they say they can't afford it, which is really not that expensive. I don't know where you're looking, but if you need a link, let me know. I have heard of doing a DIY OC spray or DIY pepper spray, and it's really easy. You could just grow this in the garden, or you could go to Dollar Tree, go to the spice section and get hot cayenne, and you're going to just pour as much as you can, put it in a little spritzer bottle, which is the next aisle over, at least in my Dollar Tree, and you're just going to put a little bit of olive oil in there as well. Shake it up, and you can spray that in someone's eyes if you ever get ambushed, attacked, or anything like that. So that would be an easy one to carry if you're just getting into personal defense, self-defense. I did that in college for a while. I had a professor that taught me how to do that, so I always had that with me. I worked at a bar. I worked very late at night, so it was a little scary for me to walk home. The bouncers always walked us home, and I didn't live too far away, but yeah, you could spray someone with cayenne if you want. And the big topic here, the question that I've been avoiding, I think the ideal carry scenario. There's so many factors that lead into this, but a safe, secure option would be a Glock 19. You could do a Glock 17 though. You could do a SIG. I do like SIG Sauers. I really enjoy that brand, but I believe a Glock 19 is super reliable. It is a little on the heavy side, but I do think that a female should be able to carry it. If you're hiking, yeah, that's what you should carry. If you're going in everyday public, depending on where you're going, that's a good one to carry as well. I will say, having a third child, that's typically in the baby wrap. I've had to figure out a different holster scenario. They make leg holsters, they make bottom leg holsters, they can do the cross, but you want to have access to it, and you always want to practice and be safe. I know a lot of people are going to have opinions and comments about firearms, but I've gotten to the point where I really don't care about them. A lot of people bring up other countries and try and compare it to the United States, and my country doesn't have any problems. Well, that's laughable, and I'm not here to get in a debate about it. This is how I choose to live my life, and if you don't want to carry, that's totally fine, but you're not going to take a right away from me. That is my right as an American to do that. And then on that subject, there's another question. It says AK or AR, and I am debating here whether I want to answer this question. For the sake of normalizing talk about rifles, firearms, I'm going to answer this. I believe an AR is more reliable, but that is just my personal opinion. That is the big hot topic when it comes to firearms, and I just implore you to even figure out what AR stands for, because a lot of people have the wrong impression of rifles and what they can be used for. In personal defense scenarios, I think an AR is more reliable, but you can go with an AK. It just depends on your budget and your preferences. Ooh, I love this one. Maybe you can answer this on the next. Oh no, I'm coming to it now. If you had a community of friends, let's say 50 people, think I have 50 friends. I don't know. That's debatable. Friends, family, yes. Friends, I don't know. Would you want to buy a large piece of land? Yes, 1,000%. Build homes, a school, amenities, things that have your own community, or rather stay more secluded and only with the home team that's close. That's very, very hard. That's hard. I like my seclusion. I will say it's very isolating out here where we are. But if I was at home in PA, I know a lot of like-minded women, a lot of like-minded family members. So I would love to go on a plot of land with them and kind of homeschool our kids. But at the end of the day, I'd love to just have 50 acres to myself and just raise my family there. So I'm 50-50. I wish I could make a definitive answer there, but that is just really hard for me. I do enjoy the community that I have back home. I enjoy the homesteading, homeschooling, at least from what I see. I haven't lived it yet just because I've been gone for 11 years. A lot of people from home, I'm from a small town, I'm reconnecting with. So we will see how that goes. But I wouldn't mind, my brother and I have talked about this, joining forces with him and kind of raising our children together. So that could be a possibility on down the road, but I don't know. All right, here's another one. What, if any, prepping or other channels in general do you watch or recommend? Thanks. Well, so I will say YouTube is rather new to me. I discovered it around 6 years ago. I didn't really grow up around it. I'm 33. I'll be 34. So the internet didn't really hit us until high school. And even then, I never had service where I lived. So it was hard to even get on. So YouTube's rather new to me, channel and content creations. So I have followed Farmhouse on Boone since the day I started YouTube. That's why I started watching it. I found Lisa and her family, and I just knew that's something I wanted to work towards and just start being more self-sufficient. So Farmhouse on Boone, if you don't follow Lisa, she's pretty awesome. I watched Jamaril Stewart. She is a large family mom. I think she has like 12 kids at this point. She's really cool. One of my favorites is Simple Alaska Living. I know a lot of you watch them. And then I like Elsa Ray and Barron. They have a place out here in Colorado that they're building. They're really cool. And then I have a category of mom channels that I watch. I used to watch Erin Williams a lot, Tara Henderson, Tiffany Beeston, Beauty and the Beestons, but they're not really like homesteading or prepping channels. I watch Colby over at the Max and Cohen at Riverside Homestead. I used to watch the big ones, but sometimes I just don't have time because they upload so much, and that's my hesitation of uploading every single day. I know there's a lot of us like me that just don't have the time to be watching videos multiple times a day. If I'm forgetting someone, I'm totally sorry, but yeah, those are the main ones that I watch, and my go-to is usually Simple Alaska Living. They make beautiful videos. I really enjoy their lifestyle, and I really want to work towards kind of that off-grid living scenario, so I'm learning a lot from them as well. Okay, here's one. Hey, Mountain Mama, have you always had a preparedness mindset? If not, what situations changed your lifestyle to feel like you do now? Thanks for your awesome channel and awareness of what is going on. That's so kind. That's a big question. I will say, if you're new to me, I grew up on a pretty large property with acreage, and I grew up in a rural, small town. Not as small as my husband's, but it was pretty small, just a farm town, in rural Pennsylvania. So he was closer to the city, and he had more, I guess, opportunity to go see different cultural things. But I loved where I lived. I loved where I grew up, hence why we're moving back there. And I grew up with a really big family. So my dad was a fisherman. My stepdad was a hunter. I will say my parents divorced at a very young age, and I'm not going to sit here and lie like that. It did affect me, but I had a positive relationship with both of them, and I still do. So that being said, I learned a lot from 4 different people in my life, and that kind of brought me to the mindset that I'm in now. But I also grew up in Amish country, so canning, preserving food, just unique dishes were always around me. So I knew how to do that. But my dad was an avid fisher and camper. He's always camping probably every single weekend. weekend. So I didn't learn how to be off grid, but most of the outdoor things that I learned from him. I am my dad's only daughter, so it was just me as a girl headed on camping trips with most of my boy cousins and my dad's friends that were boys. And I love that he advocated and said she's coming too, because I did learn a lot. I will say I was more of a tomboy. I wasn't really a fan of the girls. I still am not. And in high school, that was a little bit of a challenge. So I will say I had a significant thing happen to me when I was 18, and I made a choice then and there that I wouldn't be a victim anymore, and I wouldn't allow bullies to control my life. And that's been a journey in itself. I am not perfect, but I advocate for myself. I stand up for myself as best as I can. But after that happened, I went away to college. I studied art for 2 years at Keystone College in Dixon City. It's in La Plume, Pennsylvania. It's north of Scranton, I believe. But that was a really fun time, but I needed to come home, and I had met a boy, which was cool. He was a Marine, so he was deployed to Kuwait, and we kind of had a long distance relationship for a while. When he came back, same old story. He wasn't really the same, and he's passed away, God rest his soul. And from there I met my husband, and my husband was an Eagle Scout. We just really got along. We actually met in art school. He was a film photographer, so going out, going camping, just heading outside was a big thing for us. He showed me a lot of what he learned, and we talked about living off the grid from when we met, so that was something that we really connected about. I will say preparedness, just prepping inside the home, didn't really come until later because we didn't really have a home. I was taught to always have extras on me at all times. My mom is very good at that. You can look to my mom if you need anything and she will have it in her purse. So I knew I wanted to be like that as a mother, and that kind of came into play when my son was born. When we moved to Colorado, we did a lot of camping. We actually camped our way out here. When we moved here, it was very on a whim. We just said that we're headed to Boulder, packed up our Subaru, and just left. And that is how we did it. I had a waitress job lined up out here, but my husband, really loves to snowboard, so that was his main goal. He wanted to snowboard out here, so that is what we did. We came here very unprepared, but the world was different back then, and I think we can all attest to that. And then fast forward to my son being born. He was actually very sick. He had human metapneumovirus. He contracted from daycare, and that brought us to the hospital, and then a week later, the country shut down. I was around 20 weeks pregnant, so it was just a challenging time, but we would go to the grocery store and nothing would be there. And then I said to myself, well, I can make bread. I know how to do that. And we would go to that aisle and the flour was gone, the yeast was gone, all the things. So I, at that point, was preserving some things from the garden that we grew when we lived in Boulder, Colorado, but I wasn't canning as much as I should have, so we just didn't have a backup. Luckily, we lived in a residential area, so we had access to Amazon Prime delivery, and my husband worked at a jail at that time, so he is in law enforcement, if you didn't know, and he, was able to grab food. So it wasn't that challenging, but I didn't like that we had to depend on that delivery, and we didn't have much at our home, especially when I had my son. So that made me feel very uneasy, and I knew, having that mindset like I talked about when I was 18, that I didn't want to be a victim. I wasn't going to shut her down to any bullies, so that's where the government was coming in, and at that time we kind of knew it. Started having that mindset not to really trust the powers that be, and it just kind of moved into when my daughter was born. So my daughter had a great birth. It was a natural birth at a birth center. It was just a wonderful time. We had a really beautiful little babyhood with her, but when she was a year old, she contracted Guillain-Barré syndrome, and I've never talked about her story. I don't know if I will, but long story short, I was at my brother's wedding in Maryland, and Delilah was not acting herself, and she couldn't pick her head up. She wasn't able to walk. She wasn't able to eat, and it was really scaring me. So we took her to a clinic. They said she had an ear infection. I knew in my heart that that's not what it was. We went to the wedding, and then we drove north to Pennsylvania, and it was actually my mom that said we need to take her to a hospital. So I don't know if I was in denial at that point. I just thought maybe she would be better when we were at home and on the land that I grew up on. I don't know, but we took her to the hospital. I immediately thought she had botulism, thinking that she ingested some of our soil days prior, and they had the antitoxin flown in. There's 2 hubs, if you didn't know, for botulism antitoxin. There's one in California and there's one in Pennsylvania. I guess the one in Pennsylvania didn't have it. We question that all the time. There's so many questions that I have about that story. So California flew it in, they gave it to her, and she didn't change. She was getting worse. So they decided to do the spinal tap. It's a teaching hospital that we went to, so they messed that up and they had to do it again. So she got like a double tap, and then that's when they went in and they saw the damage to nerves 6, 7, and 8, and immediately thought and knew that it was Guillain-Barré. So Guillain-Barré can be contracted in a variety of ways. We checked her for viral illnesses and she came back negative for all of them. So that led us to vaccines, and that is where I thought she got it from. And that, in my mama heart, I think is where she got it, her 9-month MMR shot. A lot of people are going to say the timeline doesn't line up. Well, I have read countless stories after countless stories that it could have been a delayed reaction. So that is where we were with that. Right then and there, I was ready to walk out. I knew in my heart, if medicine caused this, I don't want medicine to fix this. I don't want anything to do with this. And yeah, it was a really terrible, like, dark time in my life because I wasn't sure who to trust. I was fortunately in my hometown, so I had my family, but I could not talk. I just couldn't figure out the words. I couldn't figure out the right questions. All I saw was my daughter in a medically induced coma, which was really scary as a 1-year-old. And yeah, that is where, like, my major distrust for the government, for Big Pharma came from. So that is where, like, that side of me comes from. And then it kind of leads into preparedness and seeing what I see, seeing it through these eyes of distrust. Long story short, I grew up kind of prepared. We always had food put away. We knew how to process food, make it last longer, and we knew how to get food by hunting. I have a very large family. We love each other, and we would always take care of each other. But then moving into my adult life, I have become more prepared on my own just because I've had to. I'm out here just by myself, hoping to get back home to Pennsylvania sooner than later so I can just reconnect with my family and we will be with them in any times of need that may come up in the future. All right, and then last but not least, I just came across it on Instagram, and it's, are you still vegan? No, I am not. I've talked about it in a few videos, and then they said, are you carnivore? No, I'm not anything. I really hate labels, but if I will label it, I'm an intuitive eater now. I knew that being a vegan was not nourishing me and it wasn't making me feel good, and a lot of people are going to take that and they're going to take it personally, and it's been driving me crazy lately. Whatever I post, someone just marches on in and says something so high and mighty and know-it-all-y. It's the most annoying thing. I will say that about YouTube. I get very annoyed easily on this platform, and it's probably because of the content that I post and the fact that I don't really want to argue. If you want to post your personal experience and your opinions, you can do that on your channel or whatever you want, but I get super mad at the drive-by comments, and I know I shouldn't, but I just do. So, vegan. I was pescatarian. I felt bad not eating my dad's fish that he would catch. So that is the only reason I was pescatarian. I tried that. I dabbled from ages like 14 to I feel like 18. And then from there I became a vegetarian, but I was working in restaurants, so I kind of took what I could get. And at that time, I still wasn't eating meat, but I would eat fish here and there. And then when we moved to Colorado, I became a vegan just because it was easy for me. I found different places that I could get vegan food that was cheap, and I loved the message because I love animals and I would never want to hurt them. And there wasn't a message here in Colorado or on social media at that time that said you can love animals and still eat them. And I always shake my head at myself, you know. Of course, I have regrets in my life, and they're just lessons that we learn from, but I wish I could have seen how bad it was for me, how it just wasn't recharging me, and it was affecting my mental health, which I feel like a lot of vegan, plant-based people don't don't see that. Don't see that's affecting their mental health. But I mean, I don't want to speak for anyone else, so I'm not trying to be argumentative here. I post a lot about the carnivore diet because the people that I follow are positive role models to me. If you want to eat meat in that way, you can. I had someone recently, had to block her, super rude girl, but she was saying that I was creating the wrong message. I think it was on my community post. It just said, the government says not to do this, but do this. And that was really the point of the post. Just don't trust the government, like most of my quotes and things like that. But she took it a different way, saying that if you're going to eat, you know, meat, dairy, and eggs, they have to be of the highest quality. And that's not true. I really don't like when people say that has to be that, because for some people it's not attainable to find high quality meats, eggs, and dairy. It's great if you can, and I feel like I feel the best when I have, you know, that organic grass-fed, grass-finished meat, or if I have my own chicken eggs, or if I have raw milk, but that's not always possible. So if I sometimes have store-bought milk, I'm going to take that, although I don't really drink milk. That's a bad example. If I have regular butter instead of grass-fed butter, I'm going to take what I can get. And I don't like that people just put that emphasis on it has to be a certain way. I think it should be individual to the person, just like preparing. If you want to prepare with only ammo, you do you. But sometimes I like to get, you know, cans of tuna and ammo and some water and this and that. But I always find that being on the internet, someone is going to take what you post and they're going to take it personally, and then they're going to come attack you. I wish I had that kind of confidence in life, that I guess like audacity to come and do that. But that's really the disgusting part of YouTube. Just people say whatever the heck they want, and I used to say it a lot, but it makes me question how they were raised. It's very odd to me. I was raised to be polite, and I was always raised to stand up for what I believe in. So on that subject, I do believe now, with what information that I have, that push to be plant-based vegan is on their agenda. I really do think that they're trying to get rid of the small farms so they can control the food entirely. A lot of my local farms, you know, have to adhere to the USDA, FDA standards and things like that. But some regenerative farms around Boulder County, you know, they can do a lot of what they want just because they have the ability to sell to people like me, like-minded women who want to do a little bit better for their family. So if you are plant-based vegan, that's fine. You can do that. But I now eat intuitively. I eat what makes me feel good, and I eat for my children. I've been pregnant for the last 5 years, pregnant breastfeeding, and that affects my child. So this is why I eat the way that I eat, and I still love animals deeply. And I now know that they can be raised in a humane way. Alrighty, I think that was the last question. I just went through to see if I missed any. I am sorry if this video got long. I will say that I wanted to kind of chat about that, about rambling. I get that a lot. I ramble. And I used to apologize, but I can't apologize anymore. It's just the way that I am. I am talking to 3 small humans every single day, and the occasional husband when I get to see him. He has a different schedule. My neighbors are 80 plus, and they don't really come out often. So it just leaves it to me. So if I come on here and I seem a little shy, or if I'm rambling, please just kind of think about my scenario here. I'm just by myself in my basement right now, just chatting with all of you. So the entire scenario is like awkward, and I used to speak well. I really did. And I used to be pretty witty, but I'm trying to get myself back. I really am. Motherhood changes you in so many beautiful ways, but it does change your minds. So conversations have been a little tricky for me lately. You can ask any of my friends out here. Whenever I see them, I talk their ear off. I ramble is what people call it. But yeah, I do really try and get to the point, as I was saying. So that is why some of my videos are a little longer. I promise you, I have faith in what I'm saying, and I know what I'm trying to say, and someday I will get a little better at speaking. I wanted to thank all of you for sticking around and asking those questions. Again, if I missed any questions, or if you have any that you've thought of, just drop them in the comments below and I will answer them there. I'm gonna add one more thing to my little goodbye, and that is stay positive. There's so much going on in the world, and this divide is real, and this anger that I see within people is real, and I just think that we need a more happy society. So with that being said, stay adventurous, stay creative. I will catch you on the next one. Bye everyone.